To say you gotta know somebody, or know somebody to give somewhere these days. To say you know that's alright, yeah that's alright, cause you know that's alright with me. Yeah, you know that's alright, yeah that's alright, cause you know that's alright.
So here, we talked a little bit about this before, but if somebody's going into foreclosure, why would somebody sell subject to? You guys certainly wouldn't do it. You wouldn't give me your house subject to. But if somebody's trying to pay if somebody's, let's say, in a situation where they have two houses. Have you ever heard of this? Somebody has two houses, they moved into the new home before they sold the old home, and now all of a sudden they have two mortgage payments? It happens all the time. Two mortgage payments, and guess who's left to pay both those payments? Them. I've had deals where I said, look, I'm not going to take over your $1,200 a month payment, but I'll take over $1,000 of it, and you keep paying $200 of it. And I actually I've taken over most of their loan payments and say, you have to pay me to take over your loan payments on a monthly basis. And we've done that a number of times, and that's actually, I mean, imagine if you're in this situation where you have two houses and you're paying $1,200 a month, and somebody comes to you and says, how about if you just pay $200 a month? Does that sound better? Like, well, how long? Just give me 3 years, and then you'll be done. Give me $200 a month for 3 years, and you'll be done. I'll take over the full $1,200 3 years from now. I'll raise the rents a little bit, and I've had people do that. You never get what you don't ask for, right? You have to ask for it. We have some people will say if they're truly not motivated. A lot of times somebody say, I don't care, just take it. We do foreclosures where the properties are already vacant, they've already left the property, and if they've already left, what expense do you know they don't have? Moving expenses, right? If they've already left, okay, there's no moving expenses, you're already gone. A lot of times when I'm talking to somebody in their home, I'm saying, what are your plans? Where are you going? And all those, what are your plans, where are you going, are already settled because they're gone. So the only thing you have to worry about is what kind of repairs do I need, and what's the state of the mortgage? How many months behind are you? If somebody, on the other hand, isn't buying on their payments, and they can say, I'm going to trust you with making my mortgage payments, how do I know you'll pay them? Then we have a couple different strategies that we use for that. Number one, we could send them a check, but we wouldn't make it out to them because they could just take it and never send it to the mortgage company. You could send them a check and have it made out to Wells Fargo. So you send them the check to make out to Wells Fargo. The problem is if they have a Wells Fargo account, maybe they can cash it. I don't know. Just deposit. The other thing we tell people is usually there's online access where they could actually check. Look, if you want to verify that the mortgage payments are being made, you could call the 800 number and just check, and you'll see that they're being made. And after several months, you'll see, hey, we're making payments. If they have online access, it's another way that they can look and make sure the payments are being made. Other times, it's all what you negotiate. If somebody says, well, I need to see a copy of every check you sent, would you do that? If somebody would give you their house and take over the payments, would you photocopy them a check at the same time, send it to them versus send it, would it cost you an extra 50 cents, right? So if there's an objection to how do I know you're making the payments, that's a couple of ways that they can check. The other thing that I often say, and I learned this years and years ago, is I say, look, I only get paid when this house sells down the road. And I'm going to put somebody in here maybe on a rent-to-own basis. And yeah, I get maybe get a couple $100 a month cash flow, but really I don't get paid until they buy the place. So for me to not make your mortgage payments, that's silly, because I would never get that paycheck at the end of the day. They would foreclose me out. So if you explain to people, look, why would I go to work Monday through Thursday and not show up for my paycheck on Friday? I need to make sure I get all the way through there, and I get to the end. At that point, that's when I'm going to make the most, the largest chunk of my money. And the last couple of points here is we're essentially, when you're buying subject to, you're buying something with dirty title. If you think about it, because the insurance company, the title insurance company, they'll ensure that the place is free and clear of everything except for that mortgage that you're agreeing to take subject to. So they're not going to insure that because it's out there. Like, we can't ensure that your title's clear. There's a cloud on the title. It's this old mortgage. I said, yeah, that's okay. I got that. I'll take over that. I've also had situations, and this kind of gets into negotiating, and you have to feel comfortable with it, but I've taken on liens where there'd be a judgment. Somebody gets a judgment maybe a credit card company comes after them for money, they get a judgment on public records. Now all of a sudden that judgment attaches to the house because the house is in their name. I've taken subject to those judgments and been able to negotiate huge discounts off those judgments. I like to do it prior to closing, but sometimes I'll do it after the closing if I feel like it's worth the risk. There's a lot of risk in it.